Welcome back. You're watching 101 East, and we're speaking with the Prime Minister of Fiji, Commodore Frank Bainimarama. The racial divide is deeply entrenched in this society, and if you couldn't change it in the last 3 years, how do you think that by amending the electoral system, things can improve in the next 5 years?
But how do you know things have not changed in the last 3 years?
How has it changed?
Well, I'm just asking you. You don't know
Well,
that. When you tell me that
Well,
things
if it's a matter of mindset,
yeah,
it's hard to change.
It is a matter of
of
mindset.
3 years.
That's what we really need to change. That's more important than anything else. You know, race equality in Fiji has been an issue for a long, long time. And people, losers really, people who cannot stand up for themselves, take on the race issues as something that should be taken to the fore. If you can't perform in the government service, if you can't perform, it's the race issue you throw on the table, especially for indigenous Fijians.
The electoral system didn't cause the racial divide. It was a channel that allowed the sentiment to manifest itself. Surely a more long-term solution would be via education policies rather than political upheavals in a way that upset the society and the economy.
We need a dramatic change, turnaround in bringing a change of mindset. People have gone into the hinterlands and said the race is good. Get rid of the Indians. Get rid of other races in Fiji. So you can't do it. You can't depend on the education system, as you've said, to get rid of this race inequality that we have. A dramatic change needs to be done, and the only way we could do it is what we did in 2006.
Since the first coup in '87, Fiji has experienced a brain drain. This has deprived Fiji of a lot of talented professional and technical people because they're worried about the situation in Fiji. To achieve your goal of bridging the racial divide, do you think that this is a necessity?
As I've said in 2006, this is going to be the coup to end all coups, or the cleanup campaign to end all coups. That's what we intend to do, to stop people from moving offshore, retain them by telling them we've now put Fiji into this position where there's not going to be any more racial divide.
But is that the way to do it, by creating a climate of fear, by putting the country under the rule of the gun?
No. We're not putting anyone under the... Have you been out on the streets? Have you seen anybody with a gun?
I've spoken to journalists who feel that they cannot express their views, their critical views, or they might be thrown in jail.
We do it for a reason. I'm not saying that we're stopping journalists from doing what they're supposed to do, but we're stopping journalists from coming up with responsible reporting. If we've told them if there's any stories of abuse, let them print it, but they better back it up.
I'll give you an example of an issue that attempted to be published. The assets of this country's provident fund, the pension fund, is bigger than all the commercial banks put together. The government is the largest borrower.
Yeah.
It borrows 80% of the savings to finance the budget deficit.
Yeah.
Now, when the government changed the board members of the fund, many people were critical of the new people being appointed. Why were articles questioning these new appointments not allowed to be published?
I'll have to check up on my ministry staff, the staff of my ministry that did the check. But anyone can come up with those stories. They know who the new board members are. They knew who the old board members are. The fact that the government is the largest borrower in FNPF has nothing to do with removing people from the board. You really remove people from the board if they don't perform.
So would you allow articles related to this issue to be published?
There's nothing stopping that being published, but it has to limit it. We don't want to get the reporters get carried away with what's happened, and that's probably the reason why it's been stopped.
Now, the military in most countries is supposed to be non-partisan, so why did you get involved in politics in the way that you did?
We came on the scene in 2000, and we took over executive authority. We gave it to the politicians in 2000, hoping that they would be ready to take us forward, going forward. But they took us backwards. All the racist policies that we thought, the military thought in 2000 that we're going to get rid of, they brought that back. So we don't think the politicians are ready, and that is why we continued. And we will continue until the politicians are ready before we hand them back to them. And we think they will be ready when the constitution is brought, the new constitution is brought into being, and the new electoral system.
Is the military the right way to go about it?
Military is the only right way to go about bringing changes. The changes that we need to be brought to this country needs to be brought in a very radical way, and the military is the only one entity that can do it.
Now, the Garase government gave early release to people convicted of aiding and abetting the 2000 coup and the army mutiny that followed, which put your life in serious danger. Did that have anything to do with your decision to stage a coup and overthrow his government in 2006?
Well, yes, that too. But you must never forget that 3 people died, 3 soldiers died in the camp during the mutiny. And as I told people, those soldiers of mine they're not going to die in vain.
Now, the military under your watch overspent its budget in 04, 05, 06 by a total of more than 100 million Fijian dollars based on reports that I've come across. And in 2006, it was said that the Garase government was about to take action against you about that. Did that also have anything to do with your decision to stage a coup?
No, my budget was busted in 2004, and I think my pay was deducted on that, and I took my case to court, and I won. The decision was taken by the court that it was justified. So there, stop there. There was no busting of budget in 2006 or 2005, as I know of that. It was in 2004.
Well, he was going to take action for 05 and 06 as well.
Well, I didn't know that. I don't know. I didn't know that you have more information than me in the busting of my budget in 2005 and 2006.
So the timing of the coup, in this case, does muddy the water because of these reports. So how do you convince the critics that you're coming to the scene with clean hands yourself?
I have a private agenda?
Yes. And
I don't have a private agenda. My agenda has been always for this nation.
Now, when the Court of Appeal ruled this year that the 2006 coup was illegal, the president of this military government repealed the constitution, sacked the judges, and reappointed you as the prime minister. Why was the highest court in the country completely ignored?
The judgment in itself forced him to an election without any reforms. And he had just endorsed the charter in December, which said that we must come up with the reforms before any election. So that was it. The other thing was the judgment came up with a decision that was not in the constitution, and that was someone was to be prime minister and not going to be not me. I'm gonna say that judgment in itself is not in the constitution. So how can he be following a judgment that is not constitutional? Because it went against everything that he endorsed in December about the charter.
I quote the first paragraph of the charter you drew up after the 2006 coup.
Yeah.
You said, "We, the people of Fiji, affirm that our constitution represents the supreme law of our country. It provides the framework for the conduct of the government and the people." So how do you expect people to now take you seriously when the constitution is abrogated?
I know, people know that we're going to get rid of this constitution at some stage when the new constitution will come in. We know that. Everyone knows that. If the international community didn't know it then, well, they should know now that there was an intention to get rid of the constitution at some stage because we're going to bring in a new one.
So when the decision by the Court of Appeal was ignored, what kind of message do you think that sends out to the international community?
Well, it tells the international community that we should do it our own way.
And you think that's the best way to do it?
That's the best way to do it.
Despite all criticism from
Despite
all quarters?
all criticism from the international community, we should be left to do things our own way.
Okay, Prime Minister, I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, TC.
From the 101 East team in Fiji, thanks for watching.